how to make a kaleidocycle. That's this thing here. It's also called a flextangle. Just to give you some trivia about it, it was actually kind of made popular by someone named Wallace Walker. He made a book of kaleidocycles and used MC Escher designs to decorate them. But it's actually made up of 6 tetrahedra put together, and like I said, it's also called a flextangle because it spins around. And just also, I thought this was interesting, kaleidocycle was a term that Wallace Walker came up with, but it's a combination of 3 Greek words: kalos, which means beautiful, eidos, which means form, and kyklos, which means ring. So it's a beautiful form ring. All right, so I'm going to show you how to do this. It's going to require a few supplies. So we're going to need paper, pencil, an eraser, a ruler, and some scissors. So if you get those together, then we'll get started. To get started, and this might be a hard part to do, but you need a piece of paper that is 20 inches long and 7.5 inches wide this way. Okay. You can also do a smaller piece of paper if you cut those dimensions in half. So it'd be like 10 by 3 3/4, something like that. You could do a smaller one. If you want to do a big one like this one, then you need a piece of paper 20 inches by 7.5. All right, so we're going to be using a ruler to do some measuring, and I have this paper here. I just wanted to show you. Our first measurement we're going to be using is 3 inches. So it's the long line behind the 3. So when we go to measure, what we're going to do is start, and when you start measuring with this particular ruler, you don't want to start on the end of the ruler. You actually want to start right here with your measurements, that first line right there. Okay, we're going to go out to 3 inches. And what you're going to do is just make a mark above 3 inches like that. So you know that is 3 inches, okay? So I'm going to do that across my paper, and I'm going to do it so that you can see it, see how I'm doing it. So you want to start out with your ruler at the bottom of your paper, and I'm going to be using Sharpie. You should probably use pencil to do this. So what you're going to do is 3 inches. So every 3 inches, we're going to put a little tick mark right there. So that's 3, 6, 9, and 12. And then we're going to move our ruler down, start measuring from the 12-inch mark, and we're going to mark 3, 6, like that, and then you'll have 2 inches left over. Okay, without flipping the paper, we want to go back up to the top here, near the top. We're going to do the same thing. So we're going to measure 3, 6, 9, and 12. All right, move the paper down. Same thing. 3, 6, and then there's 2 inches left over at the end here. Okay. All right, so we got all those measurements done. The next thing we need to do is draw some parallel lines. So we made 2 marks so that when we draw lines this direction, they'll all be parallel. So what you want to do is, if you hold the ruler with your fingers like this, that way it won't wobble, and you want to line up these 2 points, top and bottom. You don't want to be off. You know, it might not look right to you when you look at it, but since you measured, it should be straight. All right, and then we're going to draw lines that go all the way from the bottom edge of the paper all the way up to the top. So we need to do that all the way down with all the dots that we made, all the measurements. All right, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to label all these lines on the bottom and up at the top here. So this first line is going to be letter A, and I'm going to write them right across the line right here. And this is going to be B, C, D, E, F. All right, then we're gonna go to the top of line A, up here at the top, and this is gonna be G. This next line is H. This is I, J, K, and this one is L. Okay, so we got all those at the top. All right, we're gonna do a little bit more measuring. On this end right here, beside G, we're going to measure from the top down 3 inches. So again, we're using the 3-inch mark. All right, and if you wanted to make a smaller one of these, like I said, you would just cut all these numbers in half. So you'd use half the measurements. But for this one, we need 3, and then we're gonna do 6 right here. All right, just put a little mark right there. All right, then this point right here is gonna be number 1. This next one is number 2, and this corner up here is gonna be number 3. So that relates to that corner right there. Okay, we're gonna go down to the other end, right here on F, and this time we're gonna measure from the top down. So we're gonna do 3 inches there, and then 6 inches down here. All right, so since this corner is already L, this one is gonna be 4 down here. It's 4, and this one is 5. At that mark there, and then this is corner L, so we don't need a number up here. Okay, so that's all of our numbers and everything. I've got my yardstick. All right, also, I have this paper that you need to look at, and what you really need to focus on is this list right here that we're gonna be following. So hopefully y'all can see that. If you need to pause the video and write down all the connections here, but I'm gonna show you how to do this. So we're gonna start out, the first one is 1A. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna use our yardstick, or you can use the ruler for the shorter lines. I'll just use my ruler for right now. We're just using it as a straight edge, and we wanna line up where line A or point A touches the edge of the paper and where 1 touches the edge of the paper. And draw a straight line between them, like that, straight diagonal line, okay? All right, so the next one is 2C. All right, it's not a matter of just going from the number to the letter, but it's also going to where the line touches the edge of the paper, where your measurements are at. That's the important part. All right, the next one is 2H. Okay, so I'm gonna do all of these and stop talking, and then when I'm done, I'll give you some more direction. Longer ones, the next one is C5 and it says extend, so I'm going to extend it off the edge of the paper here, but I want to make sure I go through that point. Okay, I wanted to show you something here. You know that you've done this right if when you draw these diagonal lines, they all meet up on the vertical lines. So you can see these are matching up here when you have intersections. Okay, so that's the end of the list. we have it all drawn here. There's one little corner here we need to cut off, or well, just draw right here. It's not on the list, but you're just gonna do a little diagonal line right here. Okay, the next thing is you'll notice on this chart at the bottom here, this picture, there's some areas shaded in. So I'm gonna shade all those in just so I know those are the ones that we're actually going to cut out. So I'm just gonna kind of scribble on those a little bit, just so you get the idea here. Okay, so next thing you're gonna need is a pair of scissors, and then you're going to cut out those shapes. So you wanna cut right on the lines. Your Kaleidocycle, what it looks like when it's flat. Okay, we're not cutting down here or anything, it's just this top edge right here and this part. Okay, so in order to get your designs on it, of course you're going to need some markers. I use markers on this. On your design here, or on your template, okay, on your template here, all the sides or triangles that go across are the same side on your Kaleidocycle. So when I did this design here, I went straight across and decorated them all the same. If you want them different, that's fine. It's up to you how you want to decorate it. All right, and depending on which side you look at it, like here, your design is facing outward. If I flip it around here, and it's on the inside, okay? So your design can change from one side to the other. Okay, so I have it all colored in. The next thing I'm gonna do is go get it laminated, and then when I get that done, I'll go back and show you the next. Okay, the next step is, if you got it laminated, is to cut the laminating paper off. So I'm gonna do that real quick. Up. So it's gonna go like this and make a triangle right here. So this tab gets folded under. I don't know if y'all can see that under, and then this one on top. And then we're going to tape it right here on this edge. We want to make, the important thing is that these two lines, this line on this side and this line on this side, need to match up. Stick a piece of tape on there. If it comes over a little bit right here, that's not going to hurt anything. You can trim that off later, or it might not hurt it at all. Okay, then the next one, we're going to push this tab in and put this over top, so this line matches up with this line right here. And then we're going to tape right along here. All right. And then do the same thing here. Push this in. That goes on top. Line up the lines right there. Okay, and then this last one, just fold this over here. Get these lines right here to line up. Okay. Now we've got it long way here. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna fold this around and put this big tab inside this opening right here. So make sure you don't tape that shut. All right, you're gonna stick that in there, and then you're gonna put 2 pieces of tape on this edge. On this side, and then you gotta flip it over and do the same thing on the other side. All right, so this Kaleidocycle, it needs to flex. It was also called a flex tangle, if you remember. So the idea is that the paper is flexing a little bit, and then as you spin it, it should show your designs. Pretty cool. All right, occasionally like one of these will pop up, so you have to push it down, but just don't force it. If you force it, it will rip if something happens. But if you get all your lines nice and straight and even and get it all taped together good, it should work really well. Okay, I hope you have fun with this. This is a project that I've been doing with my middle school students for 30 years of art teaching. So I'd like to thank Margaret Malpas, who I worked with back in Sampson County my first year of art teaching, and she showed me how to do this project, and I've pretty much done it ever since. All right, well, enjoy.